Hey everyone, today we're going to do a quick overview of the Kubegrade platform. We'll start on the dashboard. If this is the first time that you're logging in, you won't see any clusters here yet or cluster groups. In order to get clusters connected, you can go ahead and just click on the Connect Cluster button. This is going to give you a command you can run. This will connect our read-only agent to your cluster, or it'll install the read-only agent in the cluster. It can't change anything in the cluster. It's just reporting metadata back. So you don't have to worry about it trying to, do things in the cluster itself. It's just sending information about what's running there back to our API so that we can see, sort of your pods and your deployments and things like that. So once you've run this and connected it, go ahead and click done. You should see your cluster show up here. Once you see it show up in the default cluster group, you can create cluster groups to sort of organize it by environment or other dimensions that you want to. In this case, I'm going to click on a development cluster, and then we'll go in and see kind of what's running in the cluster information overview. So you can see that we can see our number of nodes, namespaces, pods, containers. We've got CPU and memory here, versions and health statistics and things like that. If you look at the sort of cluster info table here, you'll see namespaces, pods, containers. You can kind of click through them, see all of the pods in a namespace. And then if you click on a pod, you can see the containers that are running within it, versions that are running, the base image, status, things like that. Super useful if you're, troubleshooting a specific issue on a certain pod or something like that. You can also see your nodes. And if upgrades were needed, you would see an upgrade plan here with like deprecated APIs, incompatibilities around add-ons, either with the Kubernetes version that you would be upgrading to next, or, incompatibilities between add-ons themselves, if there's any mutual incompatibilities. We're going to go from here to our visualization view, which is where things get really interesting. And we're going to load the visualization for this cluster. And then once it's loaded, we will interact with it with our AI agents. Okay, once we load the visualization view, we can start to see what's running in the cluster. We can see namespaces. We can see cluster objects. If we don't want to see everything at once, we can filter these down. So we could filter by a specific type of object if we wanted to, or, cluster-wide objects. We can filter those out, or we can filter a specific namespace as well. Today, we're going to just look at everything that's running, just to kind of give an overview of the cluster. And then we'll go ahead and have a look at one of the namespaces here. So we'll click on the namespace, that will select it, and then we'll get an AI assistant that pops up here. If you wanted to troubleshoot more specifically with like a certain resource, maybe a deployment or a certain pod or something like that, you can click on those as well, just to give the AI a bit more context. So in this case, we have some replica sets that look like they're having issues. Let's go ahead and click on those. We'll give the AI a little more context. You don't have to do this. The AI has access to an MCP server under the hood, so it could actually go out and pull this information if it felt like it needed to. So if you asked about the namespace, it might go pull the objects that are in that namespace via our MCP server as well. Doesn't connect to your cluster directly. It only talks to our API, so there's no worries about the LLM hallucinating and connecting to your cluster and changing something or anything like that. Let's ask the AI to tell us about these objects real quick, and we'll go ahead and let it give us an overview. And it's going to go ahead and tell us about what's running in the namespace, and then give us an overview of the replica sets that we had selected. It'll also tell us a little bit about the various sort of information that is running within that namespace. It's giving us an overview here saying it shows a pattern of frequent deployments with some recent instability issues. Let's ask it to see if it can help us troubleshoot the instability. So it looks like we are missing the metric server in the cluster. That is the thing that's blocking things from scaling. It's going to give us an overview of some recommendations here. It's letting us know that the deployment is actually running properly. It's just a missing metric server that is preventing the HPA, or the horizontal pod autoscaler, from actually scaling things. Let's go ahead and ask it to create a pull request to add metric server to our cluster. And there we go. It's created a pull request to add metric server. This is in our infrastructure as code repo. It uses Argo CD. So it's asking us to review, merge the PR, wait for Argo CD to sync, and then verify that the metric server is actually running. Let's go ahead and have a quick look at that pull request and just make sure everything looks good there. As you can see, it's created a description of the pull request to kind of tell us what it's doing, why it did what it did, and then what the impact would be and how to test it. So that is an overview of how you can use Kubegrade to troubleshoot an issue in the cluster and then resolve it using your infrastructure as code repos and pull requests. Thanks for watching.